Hello, welcome to Casual Veteran Gamer. In the video today, I'm going to introduce a new series of mine where I'll go through each of the races. Hopefully it'll be a shorter format than the videos that I did for the classes. I'm going to start off with Tiefling, potentially the race that has the most to talk about, partially because there are three sub-races of Tiefling. So we've got Asmodeus Tiefling, Mephistopheles Tiefling, and Zariel Tiefling. So before I look at each of the individual sub-races, I'll look at the race features that they all have in common. First of all, they've all got hellish resistance, so they've got resistance to fire damage, which is going to be useful because lots of the spellcasters in the game currently do have Firebolt as one of their cantrips. So if your character gets targeted, then they'll take half the damage from the fire damage from Firebolt. Dark Vision, you can see in the dark within 40 feet, and then all of them get Charisma +2, and their speed is 30. However, other things are maybe a bit different, and some of them are the same. So the Asmodeus Tiefling gets Intelligence +1 and a Thaumaturgy cantrip. The Thaumaturgy cantrip isn't amazing in the game. One downside of playing a role-playing game on the computer is that we are limited to what the computers can do and everything that's programmed, whereas when we're playing in real life, we are limited to our imagination. So the developers have decided to give Thaumaturgy the benefit of giving you advantage on intimidation and performance checks. There aren't a huge number of performance checks at the moment. Intimidation, there are a few more of. The downside to Thaumaturgy is that you've got to cast it ahead of time. You can't suddenly just cast it, as you might do in Dungeons & Dragons if you're playing the tabletop version. So I don't really rate Thaumaturgy as an amazing cantrip to be given. Anyway, Asmodeus Tiefling, in terms of what classes would be good, we've got Intelligence and Charisma as bonus ability scores. So Intelligence would make a good Wizard, and Charisma would make a good Warlock. Moving on to Mephistopheles, we've got the same things here, and actually we've got the same ability score additions as well, Intelligence and Charisma. So everything I just said for Asmodeus goes for Mephistopheles. The difference currently is Mage Hand. So we've got the cantrip Mage Hand, which is okay. It's not that bad. Downside is it requires concentration, so it's probably not going to be something you're going to use in combat, especially if you're a spellcaster anyway. Problem with cantrips is using concentration, or any spell using concentration. If you're not a casting class, then you're probably going to be on the front lines taking more damage, so you're more likely to lose concentration. And if you're a casting class, then you might want to use a concentration for another spell. So Mage Hand isn't always going to get much use inside combat. It can be good to initiate combat actually, and if you do use it in combat, it can be good for pushing people around. Then onto the Zariel Tiefling. One difference here is the Zariel Tiefling is the only Tiefling that has Strength as a bonus to an ability. So Zariel Tiefling would actually make quite a good fighter. However, we also still get the Thaumaturgy cantrip. Everything that I said on the Asmodeus Tiefling about the Thaumaturgy cantrip applies here. There will be some more differences between the sub-races at higher levels, so I'll show you them next. I'm on the level up screen for, we can see here, a Zariel Tiefling, and at level 2 we don't get anything for being a Zariel Tiefling. This is just to do with the fact that the class of this character is a fighter. I'm going to move on to the other Tieflings once it loads up. Next up, Asmodeus Tiefling. Going to take a spell, Burning Hands instead. Otherwise, Asmodeus Tiefling doesn't get anything at level 2. And the third Tiefling, Mephistopheles Tiefling. Burning Blast. Let's have Arms of Hadar. There we are. Nothing from being a Zariel a Mephistopheles Tiefling. Basically, at level 2, no Tieflings get anything. In fact, most sub-races, if they do get something special, normally another spell is at level 3, which I'll show you in just a second. I'm on the level up screen to level 3 for an Asmodeus Tiefling Warlock, and I'm a little bit surprised. I had created this Warlock, hadn't saved it before level 2, or immediately before level 2, and I'd taken Hellish Rebuke as a spell on this Warlock. And I got to level 3 and there was no spell for Asmodeus Tiefling. Did a little research and someone said online that maybe they should be getting Hellish Rebuke if it's anything like Dungeons & Dragons. So I was like, oh okay, maybe I made a mistake, I've taken Hellish Rebuke. So I went back to a previous save, leveled up this Warlock again to level 3, and didn't take Hellish Rebuke on the way up. and this is still the same result. So at level 3, currently, the Asmodeus Tiefling does not get a spell. Whereas I will show you, for the other 2 Tieflings, once it's loaded, that they do get a spell. So next up is the Mephistopheles Tiefling. They get Burning Hands. Legacy of Cania? Not sure. Level 2 Burning Hands, in fact. So they do 46 fire damage once per long rest. It's not game breaking, but it's definitely a nice little addition to have. It means... Did I take Burning Hands? I haven't taken Burning Hands. It means I don't really need to take Burning Hands here. Obviously, I'd have to cast them more often if I did take it here. But I may as well take another another spell instead. Misty Step's fine. One of them's got Misty Step on. Shatter. Right, so Mephistopheles Tiefling. There we are, Burning Hands. And then we go to the Zariel Tiefling next, and we'll see that they also get a spell. Being Jump. Brilliant. Jump's pretty good spell. Almost any class could use this effectively. I've got it on a fighter, which I like more, because it means the fighter can jump around from one enemy to the next once every turn, because it's a bonus action to jump. So a little bit disappointed in the Asmodeus Tiefling at the moment. It doesn't get an extra spell at level 3, whereas the other 2 subclasses of Tiefling do. So there's almost no point in taking an Asmodeus Tiefling, in all honesty. Right, it's time for my final thoughts on Tieflings. I think there's a very obvious choice to be made here, in that you should not really take an Asmodeus Tiefling, considering that they do not get a spell at level 3 currently in early access. The other 2 sub-races of Tiefling do get a spell at level 3, and the Asmodeus Tiefling gets the same bonus ability scores as the Mephistopheles Tiefling. Tieflings themselves are good. There aren't really any bad races. It just depends on what class you're using them with and what flavour you want to have for your character. If you think you've learned anything useful, please do like the video. Leave any comments below if I've missed something out, or if you wish you'd seen something, or you disagree with any of my comments. Please consider subscribing, it'd be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one. Bonus modifiers, bonus abilities